Hi, this is Scott Bogren, Editor-in-Chief of DigitalCT magazine, and I'm here today to welcome you to the March 2012 edition of our magazine, which focuses on two parallel ideas. One, returning transit to the community, and two, perfecting the passenger experience. As we see it, those two concepts really overlap, and where we have good passenger experiences, where we've gone out of our way in the transit community to allow for passengers to better understand and wayfind through the system, where their entrances and exits from the system at stops and shelters are more pleasant and safe, where technology is being applied to help them better time their rides. All of those additions really seek to not just perfect the passenger experience, but to do something much larger and greater. Return the idea of transit and link it back into the community it serves, and to ensure that transit, not just the provider of transit, but the act of moving people, is an intrinsic part of the community. And I hope that that comes through in the various articles we have here, because it's really a critical aspect of our industry right now. How connected are you as a transit agency to your community? And that's the question we're kind of asking here, and we're providing some answers at the passenger level of how you can interact with the passengers better, which thereby returns your service to a more community orientation. Some of the articles we have in this one, our main feature is a story that Richard Sampson has done for us, our editor, on shaping communities for mobility. And Rich takes an exhaustive look, and an excellent one, at various ways in which those interfaces between passengers and the system happen, and brings into some important ideas of scalability, livability. He discusses as well some places that technology is a part of it, but just as much where walking in the passenger's shoes from the transit perspective, how important that can be. We have an excellent article from Xconomy that talks about Google Maps. We've all heard about Google Mapping and kind of the nuts and bolts of it, but here's more of the answer of why, not how. Why Google has moved into this end of the business, and what it's creating for transit operators, and how it's influencing and impacting the customer experience, which is of course what we're talking about in addition, perfecting that passenger experience. Google Transit, a big part of that. Mentor Engineering gives us an interesting article on the ways that passenger information systems work and interrelate with each other, and there's a nice clickable video demonstration of that, which does a better job, frankly, of describing how these things work than a lot of many-paged articles and manuals and reports have done. We have, I think, an interesting take on wayfinding, and CHK has provided us with an 8-second rule in an article that talks about passengers and how it takes 8 seconds of unknown between when they last got information about the system and where they're headed next. It's a fascinating look at an aspect of providing transit that often gets overlooked, and that is wayfinding. Not just getting on a bus and going from point A to point B, or getting on a train and doing the same, but within the system. How do the connections take place best? Great article. We're really happy to be running that one in this edition. We have a look from our friends at TCRP on smart cards and kind of their role in perfecting the passenger experience, and the role of payment systems as they relate to somebody's ease of use in the transit systems. And we also want to look at not just passengers as customers, but our job links friends here in the office have provided us with some capsule looks at places where job providers, workforce development folks are the customers, and how when that interface works well, the passengers who are seeking to get to education, seeking to get to work and employment, how it kind of overlaps and kind of provides an umbrella. So job seekers. And as well, I hope you'll take a listen to the two podcasts that we our two voice voice podcasts that we created for this edition. One takes us out of a lot of the technology and infrastructure and reminds us that basic customer service in the transit business is critical to perfecting the passenger experience. And Mike Knoll, who better to talk about that, gives us not only an interesting discussion, but Mike was kind enough to present us with his top 10 tips on customer service in transit. And lastly, we have a video that really is a discussion between Rich Sampson and I in the development process of this magazine. We thought it might be interesting for you, our readers, to get a sense of what do they think about when they're working on these articles. What are issues arise within the design and development of DigitalCT? May not find their way into, per se, the pages, but are in the back of the author's minds in terms of Rich, or in the editor's mind, that we would like to see come across in this edition. So we're really proud of the March edition of DigitalCT. We've been meaning to kind of tackle this idea for some time, and we thought that what better time than as we head into the expo season as well to do this. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, suggestions for DigitalCT, please share them with me from email at bogren@ctaa.org, or do so over the phone. Give me a call at 202-247-1921. And thank you for taking time out of what I know are your very busy days to take a look at what we've prepared for you here in the March edition of DigitalCT. I know you'll find the articles and the ideas and the promising practices we present here useful to the work you do, and thanks for that work that you do.